Chapter 7. On my way back to Virginia, I went through the northern route through the state of Colorado, up and down the mountains, and took forever to get to Denver. Then through Kansas, driving through flat land forever and forever. Nothing in sight, and I needed a gas station to stop at, and finally made it to a gas station in Lima, Kansas. Driving on empty for about a good 4 to 5 hours, it seemed. Filled the Beamer with gas after driving in panic mode throughout the state of Kansas. Then went through Missouri and went through St. Louis. St. Louis was a blast, going to the old Busch Stadium, catching a Cardinals game, and through the Sacred Cathedral. Got memorabilia and some trinkets. Got some food, and it was on my way back to Virginia. Meanwhile, my dad's condition was getting worse. He had urinated more blood and went through more trips at Henrico Doctor's Hospital. No information was given, just the old man telling me he is fighting it and is doing the best he can under the condition. With half of one of his lungs removed and losing hair, he was holding up pretty well. Losing his balance when he walked was one of the conditions and after effects that chemotherapy had, and I was more concerned about him falling on the ground. His usual activities were lessened, even though he would try to fix television sets of others to try to keep himself busy with his time. My stepmother didn't seem concerned because I could tell she was more interested in getting her hands on my father's money along with her children. Meanwhile, I took the reins back on the show, showing highlights from Las Vegas and stops along the way. Group that performed and we aired that as a promo for the show's intro and getting haircuts from a place called a Little Off the Top Hair Salon with women cutting hair in lingerie. We aired those two spots on the show. Jim Redacted was doing the boards for our show along with me and Kevin and different guests that we could muster and find. The Gorgeous George show was getting heard of more than ever, in which Kevin rode my coattails for the whole year of 1999. Paul Redacted, the station manager, granted that block, and Kevin certainly took advantage of his 2 months with his cavalcade of fun, or whatever the hell you called it. We were coming into the year 2000, and everybody was scared about Y2K. And since the decade was going into a different century, how everything was going to stop, and how the banking institution was going to cease to exist. Everybody seems to be in panic. We mustered along, and I was getting phone calls from Sue saying she lost her job, and she's in one hell of a mess, and how she wanted to get away from her roommate. Brian Redacted was the buffoon's name. Matt called me up and wanted to apologize for what had happened, and I said, "Fine, but what I did to you stemmed from what you tried to do to me." He acknowledged it and told me his injury wasn't as bad as he thought, though he had lost consciousness. Halloween came and we flew back to Vegas to check on Sue for the Halloween weekend. Sue's real problem started to bloom. I called her on the phone, and she went into a panic mode, stumbling her words. I informed her I was in town for just a weekend and coming to get her. When I went there, I told Matt to be on the lookout if her roommate pulled it. I went up to knock on her door, and no one came out. She was not answering her phone neither, which made things more of an issue because virtually no way to get her. Matt and I went back to the Super 8 on Colville Street. Driving in Vegas became second nature for me, learning the strip the first time and getting around there on this second trip. That whole weekend was consumed on why she wasn't answering her phone. Matt and I went to the sports book and gamble on sports. Finally, the weekend went by and still no word or call from her. She finally called again, and then she answered the phone. I explained to her about being there the whole weekend without her getting in contact with me and how I've been calling repeatedly with no answer. She said she was out with her friend Harry. I said, "Who in the fuck is Harry?" "We've been kind of dating." "Say what the fuck, but you called me down here for me to visit and you're talking about a guy named fucking Harry." She said, "I'm sorry that I didn't have to get hostile." I said, "You're damn right I'm hostile. I didn't have to be lied to neither." I said, "I'm here for only a few more hours." I said, "Then me and my friend are flying back home." I said, "Call me when that clown Harry is not around so we can get some food together." Not a word, so we flew back home. Very angry and felt like I was being played. I did some heavy investigation about Sue's past. I hired a private investigator out there and told me that Sue had a serious drug problem and has been in and out of jail throughout her time in Vegas. I felt pissed at her, but still cared enough to check up on her. So 2000 came about, and everybody said Happy New Year's, and everybody was still here. The world didn't blow up, and there was no real scare about Armageddon or the REM song The End of the World as We Know It. I put ads in the paper looking for female co hosts and extras for the show. In one episode, Kevin played a drunk character known as Foster Brooks. In this episode, a nurse was trying to give him a shot, and he was hearing nothing of that. Kevin, with his versatile approach with different voice impressions, helped me carry the show by him getting out of character and doing improv. Ugh. Sometimes it would hit, and sometimes it would miss. Doesn't matter because it was still my productions and my show. We did a presidential debate between me and Kevin. Kevin playing W. Bush and me playing Al Gore. Two of Kevin's friends came on aboard. Guy by the name of Vince Redacted and Chinese lady by the name of Susan, not a very Chinese name, but still redacted. Playing that debate, Vince Redacted became the moderator of the skit. So in late 2000, Vince became another wheel, and some called him my token black friend. He was very knowledgeable in a few things, but always wore hockey jerseys and the stinking Washington Foreskins jersey for Washington Foreskins. Nevertheless, he became a fixture on my show. Vince, other than having taste for shit for sports teams, was a good, decent guy. We aired the debate during the 2000 election, being between Gore and Bush Jr., using the mask of these different characters. Of course, we could blame the outcome on Florida. Going back to Matt, he was talking about going to the casinos in Jersey with a guy named Ryan Redacted. Ryan was mentally fucked in the head and was a bad influence for Matt. Ryan would mess with underage women, and again was a bad influence on Matt. Ryan would flash this girl named Lisa Redacted as his girlfriend. Lisa danced at different gentlemen's clubs as well, but only for a brief time. She was a highly attractive girl. The odd question was, what in the hell was she doing with Ryan Redacted? I called him Numbnuts because he was truly a numbnut. Going to Orioles games with Matt, they got me going to Baltimore with them. Baltimore Street is the place of where this degenerate went pursuing Matt to come with him. As one could imagine, Baltimore Street was a 2-block radius of cat houses. Ironically, right near the police station. Go figure that one out. When you walked in one of these cat houses, you would be greeted by this thick, barely attractive woman with this plastic container that looked like toothpaste but was cream. She came up to me and unzipped my zipper and said, "Would you like some cream on your dick?" I said, "Excuse me, I don't know you, but that's one hell of a greeting." She said, "Let me rub some of that on your scrotum and balls." "Again, I don't know you like that." She says, "Stop the grandstanding and let me do it. You know you want me to." LOL. I was thinking to myself, this stuff can't be made up. I dropped $65 and she was rubbing cream on a Space Mountain. I just had to take it all in and enjoy the moment because this wouldn't be happening in an everyday setting. I guess that's why they call them cat houses. Everything goes with the police station down the corner. LOL, Ryan had a rap sheet supposedly, but was a whimsical dude. He would dance on a pole in one of the clubs by himself and try to cause a stir and scenes in a few places. Again, this dude wasn't rap too tight. Matt would hang out with him and catch the brunt in some cases of his transgressions. One night, Matt and myself introduced ourselves to Lisa. Lisa seemed to be an attractive lady at the time with 2 kids. She had an ex that she wasn't separated from. When the time came to leave, she told me it was great to meet you both, to me and Matt. Her house was being heated by oil heater. So, it was extremely cold in her house. Meanwhile, we were approaching the holidays. Things progressed with the show. We had more live shows coming into Christmas of 2000. Shows at the Caroline and live shows at the station. George W. Bush became president after the debacle of uncounted votes from Florida, marching into 2001.